Turtle Power. Fierce and fighting team. Rules in a half shell and they're green. Evil Shredders attack. PB Machine don't cut up no slack. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant. Fucked up. Ninja Turtles. Welcome to PB Machine, episode 7. Reading Reddit. Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. PB Machine. Yeah. That happened.
That was good, Mark.
That totally happened. Should maybe rehearse that before you do it. Okay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. How's your weekend been, Ben?
It's been a challenge, Mark. I feel like I've destroyed my body and mind, and I'm just picking up the pieces now. And it's good to be back on the podcast, though. You know, it's a beacon of hope.
It is. In a desolate world, PB Machine is your hope.
Yeah, as a fitness professional, I'd just like to make it clear that, you know, I don't encourage you to go out and drink excessively. You know, leave that to me. Nah,
that's all you, buddy. Where'd you go? What'd you do?
It was my friend's birthday, my friend Kyle, and we went out for some food and then quite a lot of alcohol and then a little party. So yeah, that was quite heavy.
When you say little party, do you mean quite a large party?
Yeah, quite a large party. My house is trashed.
One year. Was you out on Saturday?
Yeah. Well,
they managed to put up yesterday to clean it.
No, cleaner's coming Wednesday morning, so I just got to put up with it until then.
Cleaners are coming?
Yeah, she comes on Wednesday
you've
morning.
blown out of control.
Yeah, well, you know, I like to make sure that my house is spotless, and I'm not prepared to do that, so...
Well, someone is.
Yeah, exactly.
In exchange
That's all that matters.
In exchange for some money? Yeah. Sweet. How's your weekend, Mark? Oh, my weekend's quite good, Ben. Thanks for asking.
Great. Yeah, cool. But anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
About Reddit.
Yeah, we're on R Fitness, just basically trolling for content, and we're looking at a thread entitled "What is the most underrated concept in fitness?" And I think what we're going to do is we're just going to scroll down, pick out the top 3, 4, 5 concepts, and just kind of discuss them briefly. See how it goes. Danny X Furs, top comment: consistency. Consistency is the biggest factor in achieving any fitness goals. Maybe you can start getting up to a 6 a.m. and 5 miles run every day, but you'll still be doing that 6 months from now. Maybe you can cut out all sugar from your diet this week, but will your diet still look like that in 6 months? Maybe it's better to do 30 minutes of activity per day, even if it's just walking. Maybe it's better to treat yourself to some dessert with an otherwise healthy diet. Those are the things you can commit to 6 months from now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. Can't really pull that apart. Yeah. Good advice. Danny Zuber. Flexibility from Gnarly War Whale. Flexibility seems to fall by the wayside, I think. Some people don't realize how bad theirs is and see no reason to try and improve it until they start having pain, can't get around. Again, I think that's a huge one that gets missed out by most people. Flexibility. Probably because it's boring.
I suppose you've got to put it in context as well. Like, what do you need to be flexible for? If it's day-to-day stuff that you're limited by poor range of motion, that's great. But I think, some people take it too far and obsess with, functional movements, flexibility, which they don't really need for any specific, it's not for sport or, anything like that. It's just almost a vanity thing.
Well, if it's in the context of, I assume if we were talking about flexibility, we're going to assume you do some kind of training, some kind of physical exercise. If you lift weights, then I think it's fairly important to have the flexibility to move through a full range of motion.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
a squat without, you don't have to be able to overhead squat for most training, but if you can't full squat without, like, you can, like, maybe a little bit of butt tuck, or like not perfect, but at least just move through the full range of motion unloaded, then you're going to struggle quite a lot. I think with like things like deadlifts, squats, front squats, you're going to find them really difficult. So you're not going to be able to access the best lower body exercises if you don't have the flexibility or the function to actually perform them.
Yeah, but I just mean, assuming that you can perform all of those movements with full range of motion, then do you benefit from being any more flexible? Unless you've got a specific goal in mind, either it's sport specific or whatever. That's all I mean.
Yeah, you still get there's asymmetry in your flexibility as well. Like, you might have limited range of motion on one ankle, which funks up your squat pattern or funks up your deadlift pattern. Or you could have like stiff as fuck thoracic spine, so you can't extend into the bar properly, although your hips are free enough to move through the movement. Like, I do think it's extremely important to be flexible enough to do what you want to do. You don't have to necessarily be more flexible than you need to be.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's not going to hurt being more flexible than you need to be.
Thoracic spine one's huge, actually. I see a lot of clients, when they squat, their thoracic spine mobility is the thing that's actually holding them back. They can't actually stay upright, keep their torso upright, and they end up leaning forward, almost doing more of like a low bar squat, and then come up off their heels as a result. So,
yeah. Tend to find the common blockages for most people tend to be ankle, tends to be hamstring, tends to be thoracic spine, and adductors as well tend to be the common blockages for most folk. So those are the ones I think you need to look at if you're designing any kind of stretching routine. I do think like pre-training, like a foam roll, and some like exercises like overhead squat or like snatch or clean or front squat or zombie squat or goblet squat, something that's actually moving through the range of motion rather than trying to stretch out. That's kind of going to prep you well, and then after a deadlift session or a hard squat session, I think it's good to do some static flexibility, more so for the next day than actually working on your flexibility.
Yeah, right. That's something you've implemented more now after injury, though, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah,
I've noticed you said you've seen the value of static stretching a lot more now.
Well, pretty much, I don't really warm up anymore. Like, I'm kind of at a point now where I'm actually okay just to get onto the bar and go. I don't really need to stretch beforehand or foam roll beforehand. Kind of what I do now is on a Tuesday and Thursday, and sometimes at home I'll do about a 20-minute stretch. So I do like quite a lot of the yoga poses, but kind of targeted at lifting. So I'll do downward dog from my calves. I'll do, I don't know what it's called, but the one where you have your hips on the floor and you push your shoulders up for the low back.
Yeah.
I'll do the super couch stretch. I'll do like a squat stretch. I'll do like a 90-90 stretch for the glutes. And those are kind of my go-tos, and I'll try to hold those for like a minute, 90 seconds. And then I'll foam roll afterwards normally.
Yeah.
Or sometimes foam roll before. But I do at least 2 20-minute sessions. And it tends to be after, like, tomorrow's going to be deadlift day, so I'll definitely do it tomorrow night. And I'll probably do it Thursday night before deadlift day. For Saturday session, I'm normally reasonably stiff, so I'll probably do some foam rolling and stretching before that session, because the week kind of catches up with you by that stage. But yeah, it's definitely something I encourage everyone that I work with to do. Stretching is massively underrated, I think, for lifting. Massively underrated. And especially more so for sport. If you don't have the range to be able to get into like good running positions, if your hip flexors are tight, you can't really get into good like knee flexion during your running cycle. You can't move your hip flexors through a full range of motion in the drive, in the push off during your gait cycle. You're really limited in the range of motion you can work in when you're sprinting. So if you can't get it in the actual full range of motion, you're actually slower than you actually should be.
Yeah.
So that's something, if you play sport, you should really think about. And if you do any kind of like like Olympic lifting or any kind of overhead lifting, then you need to be flexible. It's not really debatable. You can get away with
especially
being
the shoulders and the stability in the shoulders.
You can get away with being like stiff and like not so functional per se for powerlifting because everything's in close. Ben, please.
Mark, what happened?
I don't know. You just dropped out, from what I can tell.
Oh man, what a piece of shit fucking Skype is. I
It
don't
is
know if
terrible
it's the
software.
app or what, but it's so random. So shall we just pick up from?
Yes, I believe that would be pertinent.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, if you do any kind of overhead moving like Olympic weightlifting, or if you do like utilize weightlifting or overhead lifting for your sports training, then you have to be very, very flexible. I think people don't really understand the actual flexibility requirements of those lifts. But yeah, so flexibility, definitely underrated. Let's scroll down. Time. You want, this is from Straight Up Washington. So, time. You want to have a sweet six pack? I will. It will take a really long time.
Okay.
Okay. You could have worded that a lot better. I do agree.
I think the sentiment there is that you should set realistic goals and have time constraints which reflect your your work-life sort of balance, and then how much time you can put into training, how accurate you can be with tracking and all of that stuff. I think that's what he means.
I think what else what he might be trying to get at is that people have to understand if you want to achieve anything like notable with any kind of physical activity, it's just gonna take time. If you want to bench 180 kilos, it's not going to happen in the first year. It might not even happen ever, but it could take a decade for you to be able to get to that place where you can actually do that. Skype, why are you doing this?
What? Please just let us record. Please.
Please record.
Please.
So as I was saying, just to achieve anything of note per se, it's going to take a lot of training and a lot of time because it's accumulative to build up your speed, strength, fitness, to size especially. Size is a long old road. There's a reason why Mr. Olympias are in their late 30s and in their early 40s.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, with bodybuilding, you do see some guys who are, hitting sort of pro ranks in their mid-20s, but they don't really get to the top level until near the age of 30, like you were saying. Even the most gifted people, so you've just got to be patient and consistent, which is ties back into some of the points that were made before.
Then the next one, breadth. Everyone has this is from Manuscripts Don't Burn. Breadth. Everyone has their own idea of what fitness is, and usually that idea is very narrow. Many weightlifters deny the importance of cardio and look down upon anyone who dares run distance. They gladly put on 20 pounds of fat to add 5 pounds of muscle in the name of health. They can squat 400 pounds but can't run a mile and insist they are in great shape. To them, fitness equals amount of weight you can lift. Many distance runners consider themselves the pinnacle of health. They may not be able to do a single pull-up and their knees are completely shot, but they're adamant that they're in prime condition. To them, fitness equals distance, speed you can run. Yoga enthusiasts claim to have whole body wellness. They can contort their body in barely imaginable ways and have excellent core strength, but next to no muscle mass and rarely get their heart rate up. To them, fitness equals balance and flexibility. I could go on. Everyone has their own definition of fitness, and it's often very narrow. A truly fit person balances many different things. If you're elite in one aspect of fitness, it very often comes at the detriment of other aspects. Whether you choose to focus on weights and our cardio and our stretching, recognize that our forms of exercise are legitimate and they don't discourage people from achieving their own health goals just because it differs from your own. Come on, let's be serious. Everyone knows cardio kills gains.
I bet that guy's a fucking CrossFitter.
Yes.
Put money on it.
Yes.
Money on it.
You know.
I mean, I understand what he's saying, and I agree with it up to a point in that people do have a very narrow view of what fitness is, and also with diets, people have a different definition of what healthy means to them, and that's very unique as well. Some people won't eat artificial sweeteners, other people, won't eat gluten or whatever. So everyone, so everyone has their own idea of what healthy it means and what fitness means. However, I think you also have to remember that we're looking at specific adaptations. So if you want to get the most from your training, and you want to train something to a high level, you have to be quite specific. So if you want to be an elite powerlifter, you probably aren't going to benefit from doing a lot of general training that doesn't really support those goals. I mean, yes, you're obviously going to benefit from doing cardio. You might be able to fit in endurance training and other modalities there, but you're not going to be as good as if you just focus on a very specific adaptation to your training demands. So I think that just calls for perhaps having different phases to your training and just being sensible in the way you integrate cardio and lifting and all of that stuff. But so I agree with him up to a point, but I think there's a reason why high level athletes tend to be fairly single focused.
I'm going to be hating so hard right now. Nah, fitness is task specific. That's what fitness is. So if for a powerlifter, fitness is their total. That's their definition of fitness. So the better you get at something, the higher the cost of getting better at it. So if you're in the you're in the top 5% of what you do, to get every percent costs extraordinarily a lot more than someone who's down in the bottom 50 percentile. So if you only have so much recovery you can spend on things. So let's say you have 1,000 recovery points. To spend 300 points on endurance training and things that take energy away from what you want to do doesn't really pay off. The net result is you're going to be able to handle less in the gym after a point. So you handle less volume in the gym. You're going to be a worse lifter as a start, and for your task specific fitness, you're now worse. There's levels, like having better cardiovascular fitness will actually allow you to handle more volume in the gym to a point, but the cardiovascular fitness or the fitness training that you do has to be appropriate. So lower intensity, just heart rate based training for like 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is boring, but for the goal of lifting as much as possible, that's gonna make you aerobically fitter, which means that you're going to recover faster between reps, you're going to recover faster between workouts, you're going to be able to handle a higher load of training. But doing like HIT is like the most asinine thing you can do if you want to be strong, because you're hitting up the lactic system, and it's got a reasonable high neural drive demand. You're making yourself tired the next day from doing that workout. So if you train Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you do HIT Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, your Wednesday workouts, your Saturday workout, if you have one, is going to suck because you fatigued yourself from that kind of training. Whereas if you take the same workout routine but do like a 60-70% heart rate, steady state, 30-40 minutes, do that 3 times a week, it doesn't take away from your recovery. And in fact, it aids your recovery because you become fitter, and then after a point, you just keep a maintenance load, and then that's you. You just keep that maintenance load, but you should be spending the vast majority of your time on what your goal is. So if you're completely aesthetics based, training for strength is going to help to a point. But then if you're like doing only doing bench, only doing squat because you want to get stronger at those movements, then you're going to neglect movements that maybe your chest isn't going to develop as well as it could. Maybe the outside of your quadricep doesn't develop as good. Maybe your hamstrings don't develop as good. Maybe your glutes don't develop as good. Like if you're not focusing in on what you want to be fit for, that's what I look at fitness as. I don't look at fitness as a general quality. Fitness is a task specific and goal specific way of thinking. If you want to talk about general qualities, then you can start talking about health. It's fine. Like that, I think if you train for health per se, you don't have any general goals. Maybe you play badminton because it's fun, and you do like 20, 30 minutes of exercise a day. Maybe you lift some weights because it's healthy. You're not particularly worried about what weight you're shifting. You're not too worried about how you look in the mirror. As long as you look normal, you're quite happy. If you do that kind of training, then yes, a little bit of strength training, a little bit of endurance training, a little bit of resistance training, a little bit of something fun is an excellent approach and one you should pursue. But if you're the sort of person listening to this sort of podcast, that's not what you're going to be doing. You're going to be targeted on something. You're going to want to do something. You're going to be competing in powerlifting. You're going to be trying to get bigger. You're going to be a bodybuilder. Maybe you're like a rugby player. Maybe you're a football player. Maybe you're an endurance runner. For you, fitness is task specific, and that's what you should hone in on. I think that's a pretty dumbass way of looking at fitness. Yeah. But that's me.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's.
Well, I mean,
Is that sorry?
Go ahead. I was just going to reinforce that point that when you look at adaptations to any sort of stimuli, the more you throw, you've got to look at what you're doing in terms of intensity, volume, all of those different factors, and you can't just throw lots of different stimuli at your body and expect to get the adaptation that you want. Especially, when you're focusing on strength or hypertrophy, you're looking for a very specific adaptation. So you don't get that just by, doing CrossFit workouts, basically.
That's where CrossFit falls short, and that's why CrossFitters, like the best CrossFitters, don't train CrossFit. They train strength, they train endurance, and they train WODs for time. But the WODs for time, they're sport-specific prep. They do the strength training, they do the endurance training, they supplement their CrossFit training by training energy systems and qualities separately, like every other athlete on the planet.
Yeah.
But you'd almost think CrossFit that people have been trying to get better at doing various activities for 100 years plus, with some science thrown behind it, and we found out that training qualities in isolation was a better way to do it. But, they made a fuckload of money. Fair play.
That's what matters.
George 2012, the power of +1. There are days when you don't want to work out or do anything, and you tell yourself you'll be no good going to the gym or working out at all. Not rest days, which are very important, just lazy days. Getting exercise, even a little, makes you a little better than you'd be without it. A little more healthy, a little closer to your goals. Moving is better than nothing. Similarly, doing one rep or just doing one more pound than you did before proves that I'll start again. George 2012, the power of +1. There are days when you don't want to work out or anything, and you tell yourself you'll be no good going into the gym or working out at all. Not rest days, which are very important, just lazy days. Getting exercise, even a little, makes you a little better than you'd be without it. A little more healthy, a little closer to your goals. Moving is better than nothing. Similarly, doing one more rep or doing one more pound than you did before proves that you have not maxed out. There is a mental game to fitness. You need to learn to beat yourself. There is always a +1.
Okay. So progressive overload, basically.
Yes. I think the point is that even if you, like a day when you're feeling like shit and you have a scheduled gym workout, even if you just go for a run or something.
Yeah.
Or just do something. Like, even if you can only manage to do some push-ups in your bedroom, because that's all your day allows, that's better than doing jack shit.
No, I totally agree with that. Yeah, do something productive. But on the other hand, don't feel like you have to do something every day all the time, and you can't just take a day of complete rest. I suppose as you get more advanced, you'll understand more how that balance works. But yeah, I agree. For most people, they benefit just by doing something every day.
Yeah, I'm becoming progressively more of the opinion that complete rest is not rest. I'm becoming more of the opinion that you're better off doing something. This is probably more for the more advanced people, but even if you just go for a light swim or you go for a walk, or this is probably very specific to people who are in contact sport or people who actually just powerlifting or weightlifters. If you do some low level activity, I find you feel so much better the next day. that it's actually ridiculous. I
Yeah,
feel
sort of like active recovery.
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
active recovery, yeah. Even if it's just walking the dog or like playing something slightly different. So if you
What if you don't have a dog? What do you do?
put your missus
walk
on
someone else's dog.
put your missus on a chain.
I don't even have a girlfriend, man.
Fucking hell, bro. Well, grab your sister and chuck on her chin.
Okay, sure.
Sure, why not? Go for a walk, go for a swim, play some five-a-side football. Maybe not five-a-side football, it's quite intense, but like kind of lower level activity. Go for a cycle. Fuck, even just walk to the shop and back rather than sitting your ass doing nothing all day. Yeah, it's probably me because I tend to be on like some days I'd be very sedentary, so I'd like watch TV all day and like not even leave the house or play computer games all day and not even leave the house, and then come into training. First day of training, just like slow to start, stiff, sore. Whereas if I'm more active, then I find I always start off after like a couple of days rest. Always feel much better, even if it's just even going and lifting light weights. Sometimes I feel that helps, like machines instead of lifting free weights. Go in and do like a bodybuilding session or something like that. I do think that sort of training helps a lot and kind of complements what you do. But
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to go in and have a killer session every single time. You don't have to max out all the time. You don't have to constantly push yourself further and further. Like you said, just doing something productive.
I don't think you really have to max out any of the time. But
Well, yeah, exactly.
if you're training sane and get injured, I think we're pretty much getting there. We'll finish off this last one. Rocket Aardvark, core stability. It complements pretty much every single other aspect of fitness. Doing cardio, core stability allows you to work out more effectively and hence longer, so you can get more from it. Doing weights, efficient transfer of power through your body and goes a long way to avoiding many injuries. Strength endurance, rowing, kayaking, or anything that requires transfer of force from the top of your body to the bottom half. You're more efficient. You can use huge endurance, focused core muscles all day long and are less likely to injure yourself. It's not a great beach workout and won't plow through calories, but time spent on planks, side planks, leg raises, and the like is time well spent for almost any fitness regime.
So, isn't squatting transfer of power? Like, do you have to row? I mean,
I think that's a well-meaning comment. But I would just,
I understand the sentiment.
I would go straight back to what I mentioned before about fitness being task specific. If you're a powerlifter, then training core stability is pretty much a waste of time. Because you work through those planes anyway, unless you're like obtusely bad at it. Like if you're a good lifter, there's no real need to work on like planks, side planks, leg lifts. All you're doing is training hip flexion. You don't use hip flexion at all. You use hip extension. So there's no real need to train that ability. All strength is movement specific. Getting strong in a front squat doesn't necessarily mean you get stronger in back squat, although it helps because there's similar motor patterns. Getting stronger in deadlift doesn't mean you get stronger at squat because they're very dissimilar patterns. One's a hinge, one's a squat, more of a knee bend. So training planks and side planks, if you're like some people, like low level people who don't actually have the ability to hold a posture through a range of motion, will benefit from it. But once you've acquired the skill of squatting to a point where you don't really need to think about it anymore, the actual benefit you get from core stability, as this guy's put it, is pretty much a waste of time. Training like extension to be stronger in extension, like training your lower back, are weighted isometrics are something that are good to look at for that stage of lifting, but it's like a throwaway core stability or doing core. People don't really think about Like, it's a good thing, but it's like anything else, you need to apply it properly. Or understand why you're applying it rather than just doing it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically just what we've been saying throughout the podcast, really.
Pretty much. Right, I think that's going to conclude this episode. Thanks for joining me sporadically, Ben.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. Welcome. Try my best here.
Please.
Skype, please.
Skype while you do this. Yeah. What kind of phone have you got? So I know never to buy one.
It's Moto G.
Yeah. Gotta stay well away from that.
I'm gonna go back to using the laptop next time. Don't worry.
Please do. I think it was me fucking up last time, so that's 1-1.
Yeah, it was definitely you last time, so we're even.
I would have got away with it if it wasn't for them pesky. Alright, thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another episode of PB Machine. Goodbye.